have Mark John Jeffries from the MJJ Acting Academy joining us tonight to do the table read. So you know Mark John from this is pretty cool because he's had the opportunity to play two very important figures in hip hop on film. So he's played Little C's in the Notorious film, and he also played the young version of 50 Cent in Get Rich or Die Trying. So very happy to have him on board. He's been in Monsters Inc., Stuart Little 2, Isaiah, a number of different films. Like, the brother is heavy. Obviously people know who he is. So we're very happy to have him here tonight and join us and walk us through a table read, and as well as some students from his acting academy. So we're going to introduce Mark John to come in and get kicked off with the table read. So yeah, just give it up one more time for Mark John Jeffries. All right. While the actors and actresses come in, just give you a little background about Scriptertainment. Like I said, my name is Jameson Antoine, one of the co-founders. The company was founded by someone who's going to join us as a panelist, Stephen Longsworth. It came up with the concept for Scriptertainment about three years ago, maybe even before that. And it really just started as I remember Stephen saying, you know what, I think I'm going to create an app, and him being passionate about film. He definitely kind of made it happen over the last 3 years with myself, Sean, Wayne, who you'll see a little bit later. And this is just really a project of passion. You'll see that. You'll hear some more of that from Stephen when we introduce him a little bit later on. But just a little background on the company as these guys get set up. So, ready? Go. All right, cool. So we're gonna do the table read. Enjoy.
Stephanie by Romney Rosario. Exterior city street night. A car parks across the street from an apartment. It's midnight and the streets are quiet and empty. At the wheel of the car is Stephanie Minna. Next to her on the passenger seat is a handsome man. Interior James' bedroom night. James Stock suddenly awakes from his sofa chair. He checks his clock, 12:02 a.m. He's been waiting there for some time. He walks slowly to his window and peers out. He sees the car across the street.
There she is, right on top. I wonder who she's with tonight.
He stays perfectly still and continues to look out his window at Stephanie's car. He checks his watch. He glances up and suddenly notices a small light coming from inside the car.
What is that? What are they doing here?
He continues to look. A puff of smoke comes out of the driver's side window. He realizes they're smoking. James checks his watch again and waits. Finally, the driver's side door opens up and Stephanie steps out. The handsome man and her walk together to the apartment building. He sees the handsome man wearing a pair of glasses and a black suit. James sets a pair of gloves and keys and hurries out. Interior apartment building hallway continued. James inches close to Stephanie's apartment door and tries the key. Very slowly, he turns the doorknob and the door unlocks. He slowly opens the door slightly and peers inside. He sees Stephanie's reflection on a wall mirror. Through this view, he can see Stephanie beginning to undress in her bedroom across the way. She looks in the mirror. He sees the handsome man turn off all the lights in the apartment, go inside Stephanie's bedroom, and shuts the door. James creeps inside very slowly and silently. Interior Stephanie's apartment continued. He inches his way close to Stephanie's bedroom door. There is a faint light coming from the slit underneath the door. As he gets close, he can hear the bed creak and her heavy breathing. He sighs deeply. He understands what's going on. He turns and sees a pair of blue jeans. He walks over and checks the back pocket for the guy's wallet. He looks at the ID and puts it back. He leaves after stopping to hear Stephanie's moans coming from her room one last time. Interior James' bedroom morning. James walks to his window and sees Stephanie walk to her car. He sees the man in her trunk, placing something inside. He gets in the passenger side and they drive away. Interior Stephanie's apartment continued. James enters and peers around. He goes into her bedroom and looks through her photo album. He finds condom wrappers in the garbage can. He walks over to her drawer and sees alcohol assignments, essays, reports, and sees school assignments, essays, reports, and tests. They all have A plus or a 98 score on them. He checks under the bed and finds a suitcase. He takes it out and finds it full of cash. Finds it full of cash. There's also a ticket to the Cayman Islands.
Holy shit. All them $100 bills. What the hell?
He quickly puts it back under the bed and finds something else under the bed. A pair of eyeglasses. One of its legs is missing. He discards it. He goes to her phone. He plants a wiretap under it. Next, he plants a small camera on the ceiling of her bedroom. James approaches her TV set, located next to a VCR and a stack of tapes. The tapes are labeled Video Diary. He puts a tape in and sees Stephanie's image appear.
It's February 9th. I'm in my room. It's 8:30 p.m. and I have one word on my mind. Photos. Yes, photos, please. I seriously need to have a photo shoot because I need new pictures. I absolutely love the art of a photographer. I love their passion, their wit, their vision. I need to find one. Gotta go. Until next time, peace, love, and happiness.
Interior apartment building hallway continued. James exits Stephanie's apartment and hears someone approach down the hallway. James quickly pulls out the key and hurries down the hallway to the corner. He turns and sees Stephanie and a tall man in a red jacket come to her door. They talk. She smiles. She caresses his arm and shoulder. They flirt. He walks away and she goes inside. Interior James' bedroom continued. James sits at his desk, puts on his headphones and flips on a screen. Stephanie appears on the screen in her bedroom. She takes off her shoes and lies on her bed. Her phone rings.
Hey, what's up? You coming to the party tonight? Yeah, I'm about to get ready. Anybody I know gonna be over there? Yeah, I think.
Static. James quickly gathers himself and adjusts his headphones. The signal's lost and all he hears is static. He hurries to fix the reception. On screen, Stephanie hangs up the phone and walks off screen. James watches as she takes off her clothes off screen and places her clothes on the bed on screen. He never sees her naked. She appears with a towel and walks off screen again. James gets up and leaves. Exterior city street continued. As James walks to his car, he notices something in the street. He picks it up. It's a leg from a pair of eyeglasses. Exterior street night. James sits in his car and stakes out the loud house party across the street. He can see the door is open and people entering and exiting the house. He can hear the music pouring out of the house. James gets himself ready and finally makes his move. He approaches the block, walks up the steps, and through the door. Interior house party continued. James makes it through the crowds of people, into the living room, into the kitchen. James finds Stephanie laughing and drinking with a pretty boy. The music is blasting loudly and people are talking over each other. James fixes his eyes on Stephanie. She walks away and goes into the bathroom with the pretty boy. James walks over to the closed bathroom door. He takes a few steps back from the door when suddenly the door swings open and Stephanie and the pretty boy exit. Interior bathroom continued. James enters the bathroom and walks over to the sink. He brushes the sink counter with his hand and white powder flies out. Interior house party continued. James walks out into the dance floor and finds Stephanie dancing wildly and uncontrollably. He tries to sneak past her. Suddenly, she grabs him by the hand and pulls him towards her.
Dance with me. Come on. Woo!
No, not like this.
Wait. Do I know you?
No you don't. I gotta go.
James lets her go and pushes himself away from her. He looks behind her and sees the pretty boy looking in his direction, a threatening look in his eye. He backs out and exits the party. Interior James' bedroom continued. Later that night, James waits by his window. He sees Stephanie's car approaching the apartment building. The pretty boy comes out of the passenger side of her car. He goes around and takes Stephanie out of the car and helps her to her door. She's falling all over the place and laughing. He takes out her key and goes into the building with her.
Oh shit! No! No.
James quickly goes to the video monitor and sees Pretty Boy take her to her bedroom. He sees him caressing and touching Stephanie's body. He places her on the bed, he unzips his pants and leaves her. Pretty Boy makes his way to the bathroom. James quickly moves, he gets a copy of Stephanie's key and a small device. He runs out his door. Interior apartment building hallway continued. James runs down the hallway to Stephanie's door. He puts in the key slowly. The door opens and slowly makes his way inside. He starts to breathe heavily. His entire body is tense. Interior Stephanie's apartment continued. James waits by a wall near the bathroom. He holds the small device in his hand. He prepares to make his move. The bathroom swings open and Pretty Boy steps out, walking past James. James holds out his arm towards Pretty Boy's back. Shock. A surge of electricity shocks the boy to the ground. James leans over him. Boy still breathing. James turns him over. Pretty Boy suddenly opens his eyes wide and stares at James.
Shit.
James shocks him again. Pretty Boy jolts rapidly and finally stops moving. James goes over to Stephanie's room and sees her asleep. He tucks her under the covers and closes her door. He goes over to Pretty Boy and drags him out of the apartment. James' bedroom morning. James sits on his bed, staring in mid-thought, deeply thinking. Fantasy. James is on the phone talking to Stephanie. They're talking like close buddies. He has something else on his mind concerning Stephanie.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. How are you?
Oh, my, I'm just in a daze right now.
Yeah. It's not really hot outside.
Well, it's not because of that. I went to see this guy I'm talking to this morning.
Yeah. And
I'd rather not say. You won't like it, so.
it's only if you want to share.
I don't know. I don't want to tell you because it might hurt you.
It doesn't matter what I think. You and this guy getting close. That's all.
Well, I won't tell you then if that's what you think.
So there's more.
Yes? Okay, I don't mind telling you, but it's going to be uncomfortable for you.
You could tell me whatever you want.
I just don't want you to get the wrong impression of me.
You could trust me.
Well, I saw this guy at his place. We started to do some talking and some kissing, and I don't want you to think bad of me, please.
Did what?
I was so confused.
It's okay.
His hands were roaming on me, and he kept insisting on it. I can't believe myself. I gave in, and in the heat of the moment.
Back to reality. James snaps out of his nightmare. Relief crosses his face. He catches his breath. Interior James' bedroom continued. James is sitting at his desk writing a letter.
Dear Mr. Mino, I want you to know that I received your last payment. Your daughter is safe. So far the job is going well. Let me know how long you want me to continue to shadow her. James.
He looks at the video monitor and sees that Stephanie is asleep. Exterior sidewalk continued. James walks to his car. A red car slowly cruises down the street passing James. He glances inside and sees Pretty Boy. Pretty Boy makes a glance at James and speeds away. James gets in his car and drives away. Exterior city street continued. James walks out of a diner after his lunch. As he throws a bottle of water in the garbage, he notices a black car with tinted windows slowly following him. James walks steadily to another block and then crosses the street. He noticed a black car behind him. The passenger side window of the car slowly slides open. James turns a corner and ducks behind the car. The black car suddenly speeds away. Interior James' bedroom night. James comes home and goes to his headphones. He rewinds the video of Stephanie and listens to Stephanie's phone conversation. Stephanie's image is displayed on the video monitor.
Hey, I had a lot of fun at your party the other night.
It's not me.
Thanks. Listen, do you want to meet up tonight?
Sure. Where do you want to go?
Just stop by my house.
Sure, that sounds good, babe.
Cool. Come by at 8. I'll wait for you. James checks his clock. It's 8:45 p.m.
Shit.
James hurries out of the room. Exterior Carl Apartments night. James arrives at the Carl Apartments and waits on the sidewalk, looking up at a towering building. He prepares himself and makes his move. Interior apartment hallway continued. James walks up the hallway steadily, looking behind him as he approaches apartment 30. He reaches the door and catches his breath. He begins to breathe heavily and feel uneasy. Calm down. He places his hand on the door, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, James is surprised by Stephanie's scream from inside the room. He looks around, hesitating, not knowing what to do. He turns the doorknob, locked. He backs up and with all his might plunges into the door. The door swings open and Stephanie's scream grows louder and clearer. Hurry! James runs into the bedroom. He stops in his tracks. He finds the bed empty. He looks around. There is no one in the bedroom. As he turns his head, a sharp blow from an unseen assailant comes across his face. James drops to his knees. Another blow strikes on his head. James recoils in pain and drops on the floor. Darkness. Interior James' bedroom day. James slowly awakens. He gathers himself and realizes he's back in his bedroom. He touches his head. There is a sharp pain and bruise. He gets up and notices that his recording equipment is gone. He checks his drawer and all his tapes are gone. His photographs are gone. The camera is gone. There is static coming from his video monitor. He checks his back pocket. His wallet is gone. Interior Stephanie's apartment continued. James walks in. The apartment is completely empty. No furnishings, no bed, no tables. Stephanie is gone. Interior apartment building hallway continued. Confused, James walks back to his apartment. He spots a pair of plainclothes police officers enter her apartment. One of the officers heads over towards James. James braces himself, struggling to remain calm and cool, a worried look on his face. He tries to open the door to his apartment, but it's too late. The police officer is face to face.
Hello, sir.
Hello?
We're just conducting an investigation in the area. There's been several disappearances of several men within this vicinity.
What?
Several men have gone missing. Rich men. We'll be asking questions and leaving notice in the area. Tell me, have you seen anything strange lately? Anything out of the ordinary?
James pauses. He looks. He thinks.
No, officer. Nothing out of the ordinary.
The officer leaves him a flyer and his card.
Call me if you have any information. Something you might have seen or might remember. Thank you.
The officer walks away. James looks at the flyer. It has the picture of the man Stephanie was with before, the handsome man. He's wearing the glasses. Another picture shows Pretty Boy. Unease and paranoia sinks in. James walks slowly to his apartment and locks his door. The end.
Eight 833 8644.